Well, hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining us for another conversation this week. As always, I am here with my girl, Taylor. Taylor, how are you?
I am wonderful. I feel like this spring weather is just so life-giving. Wedding season is underway, and I don't know. I'm excited for all that's to come kind of on the second half of 2024.
Yeah, so you just shot your first wedding of 2024. How was it?
Yeah, it was great. It was in Napa. It was actually one of those very rare occurrences where it was a very, very intimate wedding, and they only needed me for like 7 hours of coverage. And they want a very small condensed film that's um, primarily focused on like design. So it's kind of something a little different, which I like a challenge. So it's a nice way to start the season. How are you?
Great. I mean, we have now shot four weddings this year, and we're just getting into our crazy stretch. So we'll be shooting, I think it's about in 6 weeks, we'll be shooting four weddings. So that's
Mm.
pretty crazy for us. It's a really busy season. And then we get kind of a little bit of a break right now on the back end of the summer and into the fall. And then we kind of end our year with two events in November, but we'll see what else transpires. But we're just kind of like head down right now in full wedding season mode. So if you are listening and you're in the same boat, just know that I'm here with you too.
I know, honestly, I feel like I've been hearing a lot that June is just a little crazy for everybody. For me personally, I only have one wedding in June, but the first week of June, I'll be at Engage, Nemacolin, and then I'm going to Nashville for a week, and then camping, and then a wedding. That you know what I mean? It's just gonna be so crazy. But I feel like that's what summer is all about, especially when you have kids, like having three kids. It's all about the adventure and kind of maximizing that time outside of school while also balancing like the craziness of the wedding industry. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a season and it's so much fun. I don't know if you look back on your camera roll from like years prior and you get to see all the adventures that you do as a family. And sometimes I really surprise myself. I'm like, Paul, we do a lot of things with our kids. We do a lot of adventures. And so it's so worth it.
Yeah, so worth it. But we are so excited for today's interview. We actually brought on yet another all-star guest speaker, but I would say this is one that stands out. And it is ultra luxury wedding planner Brooke Keegan, who has been named Best Wedding Planner by Harper's Bazaar and all the top publications. And it was just such a joy to chat with her and hear her insights. And I have to say that I love her approach in how she gives advice. It's very in the tough love kind of manner, which I really appreciate and respect. And that's how I also like to coach our students. So I don't know. I thought it was wonderful.
I love it too. I am such a tough love person growing up in sports. I think it also has to do with like how you grew up. And I grew up in sports and I've always loved coaches that deliver tough love. And I know that Brooke played collegiate volleyball and always played like at a high level. And so I feel like that all kind of transpires into now how she coaches her students and how she delivered some tough love on our episode today. So without further ado, let's hop in and hear from Brooke.
This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich,
And I'm Kelly Gilster of 618 Studios.
and we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here. Well, hey, Brooke, it's so nice to have you on the podcast. We have had you speak within our mastermind before, which was so valuable for our students. And now we're excited for our listeners to hear from you. So, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me. This is so exciting.
It is so exciting. You have been a planner in the industry for over a decade. Are you coming up on 15 years?
So 21 years
Wait, really?
in the industry. Yeah. My own business, we turned 15 in January. So
Okay.
for my own business, but I had worked for previous firms prior to. So yeah, I've been in the industry for 21 years.
Incredible. So you have so much to share with us today. We're really excited. Um, where are you based? Tell us about the clientele that you serve. As you know, we have primarily photographers and filmmakers who are our listeners, but we also have wedding planners in here too. So, kind of paint a picture of what your business looks like so that the listeners can get a good understanding.
Yeah, so I'm based in Orange County, California, Newport Beach, and it's very rare that I actually work here. I love living here and I always love coming back, but the way that our business has evolved over the years is we really predominantly focus on multiple day destination events, predominantly domestic destinations. Sometimes we will do international jobs like Mexico or Europe, but for the most part, we're usually domestic destination. We take on anywhere from usually 4 to 8 events per year. Obviously, each event has so many events within the event. You know, if it's a wedding weekend, there might be, a rehearsal dinner, a welcome party, a rosé all day and croquet, and the wedding and the brunch and all the other things that you can imagine that goes along with that. So it just depends on the year, but 4 to 8 events. We do all other social and corporate stuff as well, but I would say only a couple times a year. And then we do have some amazing legacy clients that we do have in the Orange County area that we'll do dinner parties for. Like I do a Thanksgiving for one of my legacy clients every year. I set her table. I'm never there, but I set everything up for her. So yeah, those are the kind of events that we do. And my goal in my entire career has been to do the few, less and less events, have more and more time, and obviously charge more and more. And so that's the way we're able to do that. And that's kind of the roundabout of our business.
Amazing. That's our whole goal too. We're like, let's make more and work less and be able to serve our clients in a totally different capacity. I think maybe some listeners right now are hearing 4 to 8 events. Like, how are you making any money? But it's a totally different ballgame. Like you said, it's domestic, full weekend experiences, multi-day. And also you structure your pricing very differently than I think a lot of our listeners are used to.
Right.
So you are a percentage-based pricing model, right?
Correct. So let me rewind. I was doing 25 to 30 events when I started. So rewind back to 2007, 2008, 2009. I was doing 20, 25, 30 events. So, I've been there and I understand the pressure and how much work and time and effort goes into that. But yes, we are percentage based. So we do charge a percentage on the overall spend of the event. And then additionally, we charge for all travel and all personnel fees as well. So anyone that's staffing coming on the event site for the event weekend, we charge our clients additionally for that as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love for people to hear that because a lot of people have not even heard of this. They hear of just like a planner charging a flat rate, and this is a totally different ball game. When did you start to implement that?
We switched over to percentage in 2015. So I was starting year 7 of my business.
Okay.
Is when we decided to switch over. And it had been a conversation that people were urging me to do for a long time, going to the Engage conference and meeting so many friends there. And finally, I took the leap of faith and said, you know what? I'm not happy with how my business is running right now. And I've said this talk, which some people may have heard, that it's like my business is running me. Now I'm running my business. And I really had to sit back and look and go like, what am I not happy with and what am I going to do to change it? And one of those biggest things was compensation and amount of work I was doing. So I decided to take the leap of faith, which was very scary. In 2015, I hired a full-time employee, which I had never had one before, and changed my pricing model from a flat fee that was pretty low to a percentage. And so it was like, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, sink or swim, go for it, work really hard, you got to do it. And it was the scariest year of my life, but it paid off the most. And so, so we have been percentage ever since 2015 and haven't turned back.
That's
Amazing.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to kind of, we love pricing transparency here, so I don't know what you're comfortable with, but to give people kind of an idea of like the scale of the events that you're doing and how you are being compensated, can we get into some numbers?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. So we charge typically 20% right now, sometimes 18%, sometimes 22%. But I would say on average, we're 18 to 20% of the overall spend. We don't take our percentage on accommodations. So a lot of times we're doing room blocks or we're doing hotel buyouts, which is most common for us. We're not taking the percentage on that. However, the hotel does pay us a 10% commission as a marketing dollar. So it's not, the client's not paying more for it. It's just marketing dollars for the hotel. So they're giving us a 10% commission for all the work that we're doing and placing each individual person in each individual room and, all of those things. So that's how we do it. Our events typically start, I would say, at $5,500 per guest. I would say on average, we're at $8,500 to $9,500 per guest. And we've done a wedding that was $22,000 per guest. So it really just ranges, but I would say most comfortably we're between $6,500 and $9,500 per guest, all in. And that's including my fee, our personnel fees, our travel fees, everything. So when we're quoting that to the client, there's no additional fees on top of that. So how we sell to our clients is a price per person, and they have to agree to that. Now, if they come in with 150 guests and then they end up going, we're doing a 30-person wedding, that looks very different. As you know, we have fixed costs, photo and video. It doesn't matter if there's 10 people at the wedding or 200 people at the wedding. It's going to be the same price. Same with the band, same with, other things. And so what the variable costs are mostly decor, food and beverage, those types of things. So we typically talk to our clients in price per person for a couple reasons. One, it's more accurate, and they know that every single person they invite, my brother's girlfriend of the week is going to cost $6,500. She'll be in all the pictures and not be around next week. But we talk about it that way. And also, so they know the impact on what each guest is, which I think is really, really important. And also just so that they understand kind of the scope of where they're spending. I'm not saying you're going to spend 1.4 million on a wedding. They're going to freak out no matter how much money you have, but they're smart enough to get out their calculator and go, okay, 6,500 times 150 people. And just kind of that silent number is really, I think, helps a little bit more as far as the selling process goes for us.
Yeah, I love bringing kind of the photo video into the planner's world, because I think so many times we just show up on the wedding day and we're completely oblivious as to what went into it and what things cost. And I know we see like a lot of chit chat in Facebook groups or wherever online where they think that a wedding, with the spend of 100,000 for 200 people is like luxury. So we kind of like to break that ceiling for people and make them kind of understand what's really out there. And those weddings that are being published or going viral, like the spend is way more than anyone probably thinks. So I think it's really great to kind of be transparent there.
Yeah. And I think too, what is a misconception of our industry, and is something that's kind of been a hot button for a lot of us, I think, in the industry in the last couple of months, is that you have publications like Brides and The Knot that are coming out and saying the average wedding is $32,000 or $28,000. Okay. But what are they showing on their blog? What are they featuring every single weekend? They're featuring weddings that are $200,000 to $2 million, $3 million. So it's really frustrating and confusing to the consumer and to the brides and grooms and couples out there thinking, okay, well, in one article I read it's 32,000, and then I'm seeing this event that's 500,000, and I think I can get the $500,000 wedding for 32,000. And I think there is such a disconnect there. And people that are newer to the industry, they look at that as well, right? You're trying to get as much knowledge as possible. You're reading as many articles, you're talking to as many people as you can. And I think that there isn't transparency there. And I think that has been a huge thing that's wrong with our industry. I think Nancy Narking, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Instagram account Nancy Narking. I think she is doing a fantastic job of showing reality of what things cost. It's hard because you can't measure photos to the numbers because of privacy. And I understand that. And I wish there was a way around it, but there's just not. But I think that's being more realistic. And I think it's really amazing to be educating people in our industry as well as educating the client as well on what those numbers are. Us all being based in Southern California, there is also, this is a very jaded market. It's very, we live in an area that is very expensive, same as New York. And so when you're looking at the coastal weddings, those are going to also be a lot different than if I'm doing a wedding in Michigan or in Idaho, which we work in often. So, those things are all all very different. But I think, everything about, I could talk about pricing for years and years, but I think that trying to educate the industry and trying to educate our clients is one of the toughest battles that we have.
Yeah. And I've even heard you kind of say like a client will come to you and they have a spend in mind, and then they're kind of showing you photos, and then you have to really educate them on, okay, this is so beautiful. This is what I can do for this. I probably can't add flooring in your tent, but we could do, that probably would not include flooring, things like that. Like all things that, like, as a photographer and as a videographer, you kind of have to like learn along the way of
Mhm.
what those things cost, because it just helps you understand better as to like what to include on your portfolio and things like that. But it is a hard battle with the transparency. I think too, for us talking about pricing transparency in our world, we're having a really hard time where you hear these like huge numbers of, video costing, $50,000. And then it's like, okay, well, let's break that down as to what that is. That's
Yeah,
probably not one day. That's
sure.
probably 3 to 4 days. That's probably a team of travel's included there. So like, let's like really start to say, rather than just throwing out these big numbers. And I'm sure that you feel the same way, like you just said, with the not saying certain things, but then showing different things.
Right. Yeah, I think, and half of our job, which is not the fun part, is that we have to educate our clients, but we have to do it in such an eloquent way of not, sometimes we're talking to new leads and they have 100, this is in my world. So I know this isn't normal when I talk these numbers, but, they have $150,000 for a wedding and they're seeing something that is going to cost, $750,000, let's say. And I can't crush her dreams because $150,000 is a lot of money, like a
Yeah.
substantial amount of money. And you can do a really nice party for that, but that's just not what's realistic in what this person is showing me, and what she's looking to spend. And so I think our battle is educating them without making them feel bad. But and sometimes my team yells at me because I spend a lot of time educating clients and they never will become my client because they're not our right client. And then I end up feeling bad because I crushed their dreams, but then I could feel like I just don't want them to be shut down over and over and over again. So it's just kind of this hard, battle of educating and, kindness and being sympathetic and understanding that whatever these people are spending on their wedding is an astronomical amount of money. And regardless if it's 25,000 or if it's 25 million, it's all relative.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all humans, and I think human
Right.
connection is really important. And so what it costs you 20 minutes of your time if you're
Right.
willing to give
Right.
it, I think that's
Right.
worthwhile. That's good karma at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, so the listeners are hearing these huge numbers. They're probably blown away, which is great. That's what we want for you guys if you're listening. Brooke, how did you scale your business to be able to work alongside these clients and basically just become like one of the top planners in the country?
Thank you. I started, my very beginning of my career, I started working for another planner and just on the weekends. I wasn't doing anything in the office or anything like that. I was just working on the weekends. And I decided that, you know what, I want to learn more. So I actually while I was working for a planner on the weekends, I got a full-time job at a hotel because I wanted to learn the hotel side. I wanted to learn the sales side, the contracting, the room side, the catering side. I wanted to learn about spaces and, what everything from the housemen do to even the bell desk to, the banquet servers and the banquet captains, like whatever that was. I wanted to learn all facets of that so that I could bring that knowledge to which we call the outside, not working for a property, working on our own. And so I did that for a couple of seasons while simultaneously working at a hotel. Then I was recruited by a photographer, actually, that introduced me to another planner, a big planner in Orange County. And I started, working for her for 3 years. And that's when I started doing 3 levels of service, which I think you all are very familiar with: coordination, partial service, and full service. We call it coordination. I refuse to call it day of because no one shows up on the day of. So I'm trying to change this industry word to coordination. So coordination, partial, and full service. And I did that for 3 years with her. Then I was recruited to work for another planner that happens to be in the ultra luxury market. I was so fortunate to be able to spend a year under her doing events all over the world and learning from her. And it was incredible. And it was her that said, you know what? I want to help you. I know you've always wanted to own your own business and be an entrepreneur. So I want to help you start your own business. So jumped in 2009, started my own business in the middle of a recession, the perfect time to do it, right? With the relationships that I had built from already working for other people, I had 10 weddings my first year, which is pretty unheard of in the middle of a recession, starting my own business. So that was incredible, but I was doing the same thing, coordination, partial, full service. So I did that for a couple of years. My prices started to, I started at $2,500 for for coordination. I think I was $4,500 for partial and like $8,500 for a full service, like that. Those were kind of my numbers. And looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got paid literally 3 cents a minute. 3 cents an hour to be working these events, but that's where you got to start. And then I started phasing out coordination, hired a couple girls under the company that were doing coordination and partial service, and I just went to full service. So our company still offered all three. And then I just kind of hit a breaking point of where I'm not happy with what's happening, and I know there's more out there. And so I was so focused on thinking that I had it made in my market, in my geographic market here in Orange County. And I was working at all, the big four hotels that we all know that are here. And I thought that I had made it and I was doing so great, and I was. But it wasn't till I went to an Engage and met people that opened my eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's weddings all over the world and they're incredible. And they're spending so much more money than I could ever even imagine. Like being in Orange County, people were still spending $500 to $1 million on a hotel wedding, which is a lot of money. And I was doing those events and it was amazing, but I was like, wait, there's more out there. What's going on? And it completely opened up my eyes to like, Orange County is not the market I want to be in. I want to do something else and I want to travel. And so what I did, to be honest, is you got to kind of fake it till you make it. And so at that Engage, I went to an Engage and I remember exactly the seat I was sitting in. I remember exactly where I was. And I said to myself, just start telling people you focus on multiple day destination events. I had never done a destination event in my life. Now, that's a lie. Everyone comes to Southern California as a destination. Most people that get married here are not from here. So I was doing destinations all the time, but with the same pool of vendors in the same locations like that. So I wasn't lying per se that I wasn't doing destination weddings, but I hadn't gotten on a plane to produce an event yet. So I started telling everybody at Engage, we do multiple day destination events. That's what we do. Yep, that's what we focus on. And I said that enough to enough people. And 2 weeks later, I got a phone call. I booked my first destination event that happened to be a celebrity because of someone because I just told everybody at Engage, that's what I focus on. A floral designer heard me say that, and it was her friend. And that's how I got my first destination job and celebrity, which happened to just be icing on top of the cake. But that was 10 years ago, almost 9 years ago. So, so as far as like, was there a process or like a strategic way? No, I just said, you know what? I don't like what's happening. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start telling people. When you start putting it out in the universe and start telling everybody, they don't know who you are. They just believe what you tell them. So I'm not saying go lie to everybody. That's not what I'm saying. But like, if that's what you want to do and you have the skills and the talent and the time to put in to do that, say it, put it out there, talk to everybody that you know. And that's what I started doing. And then it was in 2015 that I decided, you know what? We're starting to land some big jobs. I need to be compensated properly and I need help. And one of the biggest weddings that put us on the map, I actually planned completely 100% by myself. And it was after that wedding in July of 2015 that I said, I need help, and brought someone on full-time and changed my pricing model to percentage.
That's quite the
So
journey.
good. So inspiring. No, but like, I think people really need to just take the reins and take control of their business and steer the horse in the direction that you want to go in, or else it's just not going to like really come to you. If you're not putting it out there and you're not working towards the networking that you need to, and even like going back to like building your brand in a way that's in alignment with this type of clientele, um, it just isn't going to happen, one, overnight, and two, at all. So I think that that's so inspiring to hear that like we all start at the same starting line. Taylor and I
Yeah.
say that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just all about, when are you going to realize that enough is enough and you want to take control of your business and not let your business run you?
Exactly. My good friend Jose, who you guys all know, said to me when I started my business 15 years ago, only put out there what you want to attract. And it's really, really hard at the beginning because you like any work you do, you want to put out there because you're like, okay, I did a wedding. Like it might not be the most beautiful design, or I didn't love the location, and you want to put it out there. But as long as you refrain and resist and only put out there what you want to attract, is really going to be beneficial and really help. And also, patience is everything with how inundated our industry is with information right now, education, and seeing things, blogs, Instagram, whatever, websites. Like people think they can get there in 1 to 2 to 3 years, and it's just not going to happen. I mean, I'm in it. I feel like I started figuring it out, like truly making money and figuring it out in 2019. And that was 10 years into my own business. I
Yeah.
mean, 10 years when I felt like I could finally go to sleep at night and not be worried that I couldn't pay my rent or my
Yeah.
mortgage or whatever. Like it literally took 10 years of blood, sweat, and tears and doing events for $2,500 and, working overtime and missing friends' weddings and missing family events and missing my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary party. And all of these things I sacrificed to get to where I am now. And so I think that a misconception in this industry is because it's so huge and it's grown so much and there's so much at people's fingertips, they think that they can just be an overnight success. And I would just really encourage everybody that if you don't have the gumption and you don't have the time to be patient, this might not be the industry for you, because it really does. You got to put in your time and effort, and everything in this industry is based on relationships, 100%. So if you can't put in the time, I mean, I have relationships. I've been working with the same vendors for 20 years. Like it's incredible, but now we know each other and how each other works. And, it's an amazing thing to grow with these people. But you got to put in the time.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is, every overnight success is actually a decade in the making. And I feel like
Correct.
that's so true. We don't always see people's journey, and then it feels like all of a sudden they popped out of nowhere, but they've been working like behind the scenes in the dark, before they get the spotlight, so to speak. So I think that's really important to kind of keep in mind, because like you said, people are looking for like that microwave method. They just want to like
Yeah.
hit the 1 minute button and have it be instant. But I think everything worth working towards is worth waiting for too. So it's not that it's not a worthwhile pursuit, it just takes time.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite quotes, we're talking quotes, is if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I've been saying that my entire career. Like if I'm in the room and I'm doing the biggest events or doing the whatever this might be, I have most experience doing destination stuff, and I'm talking to a bunch of people that don't have anything to challenge me for, like I'm in the wrong room. Like I need to be with people that I'm aspiring to be like. Yeah, is it hard to sometimes get in the rooms with the right people that you want to be in? Yes, but you need to challenge yourself. It's scary, and you just can't be the big man on campus all the time. No matter where you're at in your career, what industry, what networking event, what wedding, whatever you're going to, like you have to challenge yourself and be in the room with people that are so much smarter than you, because that's how you're going to learn and that's how you're going to grow.
Okay, so that's so awesome. Brooke, I love hearing your story, and I love all the motivational snippets as well, because it's just, it's a hard industry at the end of the day. And I think, there's years where you feel like you're just spinning your wheels. I know that I felt that, Taylor has, and I'm sure you have too. But I don't know. It's just so cool to hear where everyone starts and then where they are now today. This is a little spinoff. I saw in, I think it was another Facebook group, but someone was asking, they were a videographer and they were like, what publications can like I steer a planner to submit to that's going to also feature video. And I feel like it was such a tricky situation. I don't even know if I really chimed in, but I was just kind of peering in the comments. And we actually had Larev Films speak in our mastermind a couple weeks ago, and they had this really great quote that was about, they said, um, don't step over dollars to collect pennies. And I
Mhm.
think that that is something that kind of, that's a quote that kind of related to this topic, as far as like a videographer feeling like they needed that like spotlight moment of their video featured. Or I don't know, do you feel like publications are even like what they used to be? Or when you're working with a certain level of client, are publications necessary or no?
Okay, this is such a loaded question. I have
I
so much to
know.
say about it, and I love this. But so in what I do most of the time, our clients were signing NDAs and they do not want to be published. Back in the day, I was published a ton. Back when print was cool. I mean, back in 2007, 2008, 2009. I mean, when print was cool, like, I mean, I was so lucky. I swear, you'd go to the Barnes and Noble and I'd be in every magazine and it was so amazing, right? It was so amazing. Print is gone, right? And print is gone. And the only thing that was cool about print was that you just get to like touch it and feel it and see your work. Obviously, this pertains to photography and every other category except for video, your name will just be listed, right? Um, the only publications that I have been in that have actually showed video, this is right off the cuff on my top of my head, is when I've done like something that's, for People Magazine and they wanted a video highlight, or Us Weekly, they ran it and they wanted a highlight. I can't remember because I don't think Martha does. I don't think Vogue does. I don't think Harper's doesn't have a wedding department anymore, but they didn't. I don't know if I mean, does Style Me Pretty still do video? I'm not 100% sure on
They
that.
will.
They will.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my thing about publications. It is so cool to see your name written somewhere in a public forum. I understand it, whether it's print or even if it's, online. Um, I think that the waiting game of how these publications are keeping your work for 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16 months, holding it captive and then saying, oh, we decided not to run it. So now you've already gone through a whole cycle of events. So what I would suggest, my biggest thing is we don't hold anything for publication anymore. Like we push everything out because it's fresh and new and happening at the time. Now there's this whole battle right now going on with previews, how fast you get previews from the photographer, how fast you get a sneak video from the videographer. I'm on team, give it 10 to 12 to 14 days, let the video and photo team have a breath, sleep through the night, and actually do some of their best work versus staying up till 4 or 5 in the morning to get me something quickly. I know the brides typically, or the clients typically want something, but there's something it's not going to change in 2 weeks. Like the lure's still going to be there. If the event is still amazing, it's still going to be amazing in 2 weeks, right? So I'm really big on that. So, and sometimes people aren't, I didn't get previews from one wedding for this year for 3 months. And that was fine too. Was I super excited and was I like checking my email every day? Yes, of course I was, but it was, it was okay. And I understood the process of what that photographer was doing. So I think, whereas the allure and it's so cool to be published, I think it's doing a disservice. How many prospective clients are going on marthastewart.com or stylemepretty.com every day, or the not.com, and looking for their vendors there? Few and far between. Where are they going? They're going to Instagram, they're going to Facebook, they're going to, gosh, now TikTok, whatever this is. But that is what's happening. And then you have to look. When you're posting on Instagram, you are now tagging every single vendor. They're going to repost. So you now not just have your 5,000 follower eyes on it, you now have 10 other vendors, 5 to 15 to 20,000. I mean, you have 100,000 eyes on something that maybe 10 people would have seen in Martha Stewart. that was posted of one of the 4 things they posted that day. So how much traction are they really getting? And how much is that ROI? So I know it seems so cool, and I'm not knocking it. Publications are great. And I think there's a lot of good things that come out of publications, even though it doesn't seem like that in my talk today. But I think that build your brand, like you said, and curate the best you can and do what you can control. You can't control anything else besides your own social, your own website. Also, a big thing too, that I don't think a lot of photo and video teams think about now that there is Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. Keep up your websites. Like, I know it sounds old school, but the people, the higher caliber of event that you are going to be booking, the couple is not the only ones making the decision now. So, right? So a lot of times the couple is driving the decisions in some of the lower budget events. Their parents are just like, here's the money you have, go for it. When you start getting into the higher budget weddings, moms and dads are now looking. And moms and dads might have Instagram, but they're really going to go to a website. They're old school. And so for me, like when I present photo and video teams to my clients, I give their website and their Instagram. So I give both. So please don't neglect your website. I think that's really important. But to circle back around about publication, I think that if it gets published, awesome. If your means of putting it out quickly in a beautiful way is on social, I think that is way more impactful. I also think too, photo and video need to be very careful about what they put out and when they put it out because they need to have approval and talk to the planner. A lot of times photo and video don't understand some nuances in the back where it's like, okay, there's a few guests that can't be shown, or we don't want to show this part because it's our private home and we don't want people to see the number on the front of the house, or whatever these things are. Photo and video teams probably don't know all of those nuances. And as much as the planner, I try to, convey details and important information, I can't tell everyone everything. So, before you push anything on social, before any of that happens, you need to have that approved by the planner and discuss what your plan is. If you are not working with a planner, there's a lot of people that are not working with planners. That's the same discussion you have with the client. And maybe it takes 10 days to 2 weeks to have that conversation because they went on a honeymoon. Don't bother them on a honeymoon about posting 10 photos. Like, don't do it. Now, if the couple's excited and they're sipping a Mai Tai in Hawaii and they're pinging you that they want some previews, that's a very different story because there are couples that get very excited like that. But I think publications don't hate me, but I honestly think handle what you can control, put out there what you want to attract, curate. You're going to have way more eyes that are going to spend money and pay your bills if you push it out yourself on your social channels versus waiting 6 to 8 months to put it on, and I'll be honest, I have a wedding I did last June. I've posted the crap out of it. I have two publications that want to run it. So it's like, at this point,
doesn't really matter.
Unless it's an exclusive celebrity wedding, which we all know has a lot of parameters and a lot of things, publications are running things now, So.
If you're watching on YouTube, you got to see Kelly's cute little dog.
The corgi jumping up, the Amazon guy. No, I'm so glad you said that. And I'm so glad that you brought in the conversation of that you need to get these things approved by the planner and or the client. We had Peyton Frank on who kicked off our All-Star series, and she talked a lot about that too, that there's sometimes a whole rollout process that, is a part of it. And it's so important to just be in the know and be a team player in all the things, especially to the content that's being put out after the wedding and asking, are we doing this live? Are we doing this in 2 weeks? What's the protocol on this specific event?
Yeah. And I think each planner is very different. I can only speak from how we work, but we do a whole spiel in our timeline email the week before about we are not posting live or we are posting live. If you are posting live, here are the tags that need to be there. Like as a planner, I think it's a planner's responsibility. I know I'm not talking to a ton of planners here, but it is the planner's responsibility to have all that. If the planner's not giving you that information as photo and video, ping the planner before the weekend and just say, thank you so much for the timeline. Everything looks fantastic. Can you please let me know what the protocol is for posting on social over the wedding weekend? If you ask, and don't ask that at the event. That's the last thing I want to hear. But like ask them before. And maybe it's not just the week before. Maybe you guys have a follow-up conversation prior to. As a photo and video team, my suggestion is you always have at least 2 conversations with the planner before the event, no matter what. An initial, hi, so excited to be working with you. Is there anything I can do right now to help you? And then there's maybe a month before, put it on your calendar. Just add it to your calendar to ping the planner. Don't call her out of the blue or him out of the blue. That's that's too much, but just send a quick email. Hey, I'd love to do a final, wrap up call. I'd love to service you and the clients the best that I can. Do you have 5 minutes next week to jump on a call? Get on that call. That's when you ask, what are the colors of the wedding? What should I be wearing? Is there any specifics that I need to know about the family dynamics? Is there, because a lot of times if you're working with a planner, you're not probably sending all your usual questionnaires or something. You might be,
Yeah.
but you might not be. Ask what the posting protocol is. Ask all these things because when you get there on site, you don't want to have to ping the planner at all for one thing. You just want to be in the background, doing your job, having a great time, exuding, joy and kindness to not only the clients, but to all of the vendors around you. And if you're there panicked, not knowing what's going on or what you can do, or if you can post something, that is just a disservice to everybody. So that's kind of the sequence. And what I prefer to talk to photo and video teams is the 2 times prior. And just write a list of questions that you have. Take 10 minutes and come up with like, what's my second call? Like, what are the 6 answer questions that I need to ask for every single wedding? And just put in some process there, mark it in your calendar to ping the planner, 3 weeks before the event, like start coming up with processes and procedures to make it super seamless. And that also is so impressive to a planner is when I don't have to worry about that. You're already reaching out to me and I'm saying, fantastic. They're eager. They want to know more. I can jump on a call. It's second nature to me because I've been working with this client for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever that is. So I don't know. I hope that helps.
No, that's so helpful. Do you feel like you get more of that from photographers rather than videographers?
Yeah, I would say that, but I'm also very proactive too. Our team is very proactive. So if you're not reaching out to me, I'm reaching out to you. And then also having been in the industry for so long and working with the same people over and over, I have no problem just picking up the phone and calling if it's like, we're in a team meeting and something comes up and I'm like, ping this, ping Kelly after this to talk about this or whatever. Like I have no problem doing that. But when you're not consistently working with the same planners over and over, and even if you're not working with a planner, same thing with the client, get on a final call with the client and say, are there any special things like, oh yeah, my grandma passed and her brooch is going to be on my bouquet. Like if there's not a planner to tell you that, how are you going to know to capture that? Right. So
Yeah.
also talk to the client and say like, what are some highlights of the day? Are there any VIPs I need to capture or be aware of? And I know you guys have questionnaires and stuff like that, but a lot of times if you actually have the conversation on the phone with the client, you're going to actually get emotion from them and you're going to understand the importance of certain things over other things. And things could have happened since they filled out the questionnaire 6 months ago for the wedding, even 2 months ago, maybe a family member passed or something happened. So kind of getting on the phone within 1 to 2 weeks of the event, I think is super beneficial too. And that's also when you can talk about the social rollout.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I had one, I believe it was a year ago, and I think the client filled out the questionnaire, but then the planner let me know that it was like a week of the wedding and the bride was just feeling like she had her dad who just passed away like 4 months before. It was like a very it was just a really emotional time for her. So she wanted to like get on the phone and just kind of like talk me through, like she was emotional like on the phone, but just wanting us to understand just the elements that were really, really, really important to her because her dad wasn't able to be there, and like the significance of certain design elements and things that you couldn't really put all down on that doc.
Right.
And so it was actually really, really helpful. At first I was a little bit nervous because I'm like, oh no, am I in trouble? Like the planner's like, the Brad wants to get on the phone with you. And I'm like, okay. Um, but yeah, it was like you said, you hear the emotion in their voice and you get to kind of know them on a deeper level before the wedding day. Because I'll be honest, like as filmmakers, we don't always get a opportunity for a consultation with a client,
Right.
which is totally fine. So any opportunity, you know, to be able to connect with the client on another way is like just a little bonus for us as filmmakers.
Yeah, typically, I mean, my film team is meeting the clients like at the first event that's happening, or at like, we always do walkthroughs the day before or whatever. And, so typically the clients will be like, oh, we want to meet everybody. And they'll come, to our walkthrough just to say hi, and then they go away because they don't need to hear all the boring logistics. But yeah, that is, it is great if you can talk to them before. As a planner, one of our good photographer friends hates this about the ultra luxury market, but you're probably not talking to your photo and video teams prior to the event weekend. So, but that's why it's so important to create that relationship and nurture those relationships with the planners when you are working with planners, because then they are your wealth of knowledge, and everything you need to know, they can tell you.
Yeah, they're like your eyes and ears
Yeah.
because they've been working with the client for so long.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. This has been so great. Taylor, any lasting final questions?
Hmm. I guess I'm gonna put you on the spot maybe a little bit, Brooke. If someone's listening to this and maybe they are in that year 3, 4, 5, but they want to rise to the level that you are currently, what would be your biggest piece of advice for them to put into practice this year?
I think that just head down, do the best possible work that you can. I think that quality over quantity is so important. Um, and I think that you just have to put in your time. I know that's not a perfect answer, but you really do just have to put in your time. And I think also step outside your comfort zone. Do things you wouldn't normally do. Get in front of people you normally wouldn't get in front of, because that is what brings opportunity, right? In our industry, yes, you can be on a vendor list, you can be on a planner. Like, how do you get on those lists? You create relationships and you prove yourself. So step outside your comfort zone. Go to these ABC events, these WIPA events, engage. Gosh, there's a million events now. I don't even know, go to these networking events, go ping some people in your local market and all get together for happy hour. I mean, we just had the most fun dinner last week with 10 of us that come from all different, planners, photo, video. Just at my house, I had a party and it was so much fun, and we all connected and we're learning more about each other personally and about each other's businesses. So put a little group together, step outside your comfort zone, do things that are uncomfortable, meet new people. You've got to keep expanding your circles, and you can't, because that's how you're going to gain attention. Spend time on social media. We all hate it, but spend time on social media. This could be a 6-hour conversation, and poor Kelly's heard this a million times, but if you want to be working with certain planners, they need to be one level up from what you're doing, not 10 levels up, and start courting them on Instagram. Not crazy stalker. Like the things you like, genuinely comment on things that you actually can relate to, like such beautiful flowers, or, oh my gosh, my parents actually got married at that venue. Whatever that is, that's a personal connection. Start forming relationships with the people you want to be working with. Put yourself in the position of where those people are going to be. And you really just have to keep leveling up, and you have to try and work really hard, not get discouraged, have patience, and really just build your brand. Remember, you are in control of everything that you do. And so if you're sitting back going, I don't know why the calls aren't coming in, it's your fault, right? It's your fault. You need to go out there and get the business. Now, for me to say that is really hard to say, because trying to get my type of client, I can't just go out and get that client. But you know what I can do? I can harbor relationships with amazing people, other planners like me that might be busy that day that can pass that lead along to me. Sometimes photographers now are getting hired before planners. That's been such a trend over the last couple of years because of social, right? So, keeping those relationships with those photographers. So when they say, oh, you don't have a planner yet, let me refer you to Brooke Keegan. Like those are the types of relationships that you need to keep doing and keep nurturing. So step outside. You got to leave your house sometimes. Even though you want DoorDash and you want to watch Hallmark movies. I don't know, talking to the females out there, I guess, but just step outside your comfort zone, really harbor relationships, make relationships, create relationships. And I think that is what's going to get you to the next level. Of course, you have to do great work. You have to be great on site. You have to deliver a superior product. You have to be amazing. But that fires you up when you start creating this amazing circle of friends. If you're super remote and you live in this crazy remote place in Alabama or Kentucky and you don't have those people to be around, right now, we're on Zoom. Create Zoom happy hours once a month with people that you love, that are your friends in the industry, that you work with a lot. Have a Zoom happy hour. Everyone opens a bottle of wine or pours themselves a cocktail. Like there's no excuse anymore to not be social. And we all learned that through COVID, right? With how many weekly happy hours that we all had. But, I can talk about this forever, so I don't want to keep going, but just surround yourself with people, step outside your comfort zone, keep networking, and you'll get there.
I love the tough love. I think that's the best advice anyone could ever receive is the non-sugar coated kind. So
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Nothing's
So
ever
good.
sugar coated with me, I'll tell you that.
I love it. I love it. It probably comes from your like athlete background, just being coached for so many years. And now you can just like turn it in and go into coach mode yourself.
Yeah. And I coached for a while after college too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, Brooke, this has been just honestly one of my favorite episodes within our All-Star series. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of your knowledge with our listeners. For those who maybe aren't connected with you on Instagram or want to see more of your beautiful portfolio on your website, where can people find you?
So my website is just brookekeegan.com and my Instagram is the same at Brooke Keegan. And I would love to like meet everyone and connect. And, it's been really cool. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. And I think, bringing education to everybody and trying to level everyone up is absolutely an amazing thing. And, I mentor a lot of photo and video teams and do a lot of, one-on-one and coaching. And it's just so fun to see the growth and what has happened over some of my students, if you will. I just got a message from one the other day just saying, okay, listen, I landed this amazing job with this planner that I've wanted to work with. What do I do now? And so it's really fun to still have that relationship with everybody and coach her through, okay, this is what you booked them now. Great. This is how you handle talking to the planner and stuff. So it's pretty fun. So anytime I can help out, I'm here and I appreciate you guys for having me. It's been an honor.
Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.